Thursday. I hope everybody's doing all right. I'm going to give it a few minutes, let some folks get up in here. I'm a little early just because I was ready. Uh, that's all. I was ready. I'm ready. Um, so we'll give it a few minutes, let my system get started. Okay. All right. Who's in here? Say hey to me. What's going on? There's always one person waiting. Who is the one person? Hey, one person. How are you? Thanks for supporting me. Okay, there you go. Thanks for supporting me. I appreciate it very, very much. Hey, now we got two who in here. Say hi to me. Holler at me. I look dark on this. Oh, it's this. Okay. All right. Hey, y'all. Um, I need a few more people to come up in here so we can start our discussion. My goal is to raise awareness about narcissism, right? It is a personality disorder, and we need to have awareness about it, quite frankly, especially from a woman's perspective, right? Because you get with somebody, you don't know exactly who he is, and I want you to know the signs. Hey, Classy Boots, what's going on? Hey, hey. I want people to know exactly, exactly what it is. So yesterday, my live at noon, which was my first installation of the talk about narcissism and relationships and dating as it pertains to black culture, right? Hey, nephew. And so that live mysteriously got deleted, right? So I'm going to briefly go over what narcissism is, according to the psychologists and scientists and the people in the know, and then I'm going to proceed. Okay, then I'm going to proceed. So, narcissism is a personality disorder, right? It's called NPD, and let me put my glasses on. Today my eyes ain't at full function. I'll put these ones on. A disorder in which a person has an inflated sense of self-importance. They the most important motherfuckers around, right? Always. Um, Narcissistic personality disorder is found more commonly in men. The cause is unknown, but likely involves a combination of genetic and environmental factors, right? And as I explained yesterday, this is just a brief synopsis of yesterday. Uh, as I'm talking about this, I'll relate it to my story, right? Because I was with a narcissist for 10 plus years. And in my case, my ex was the middle child of about 12. I can't remember if it was 10 or 12, but it was a lot, right? And he was in the middle, right? And he never talked about it much, but he did mention to me a time or two, maybe twice, that, when his dad would come, he would take the bigger boys and go somewhere, and then when it was time for the little kids, they would go, but he was in the middle. He never got that attention. So, as the years went on, I noticed he liked attention. I did not realize that he needed attention. I didn't realize that at first, but he needed attention. That's what narcissists do. Now then, the treatment can help, but this condition cannot be cured. And the treatment that they are referring to is talk therapy. Just talk therapy. Talk, talk, talk. And in my case, again, my narcissist could not have a real grown up heart to heart conversation about real things. He was surface, right? So I guess this is just my thinking that the reason why it's talk therapy, because that's the best thing they can do, is talk and talk it out and see where it starts and how they can fix it. But they say that most narcissists cannot be cured, right? Now, what disturbs me is that we got medicine for everything. Medicine and technology is wonderful and great, right? But we don't have a pill or nothing we can give a narcissist and fix them. Nothing can fix them, right? If you're bipolar, that's another mental health disorder, you get a pill. If you're schizophrenic, you get a pill. If you have another type of personality disorder, you get a pill. They have nothing for narcissism, right? And I believe this is why it's so big and so rampant. Why we just not talking about it last few years, I don't know. There are no lab tests or imaging required. Nothing. This can last for years or lifetime. I just believe in my heart that it's a lifetime thing, unless the person tries to seek help, right? So, uh, there are stages to narcissism, right? The four stages of narcissistic, it's a cycle. And I can tell you that because I was in the cycle. It's a cycle, right? It's idealization, devaluation, repetition, and discard. Now we're gonna go later into that later, but the idealization is where I'm at today, and one of those is love bombing. And what love bombing is they shower you with gifts and things. Let me get to my notes. They shower you with gifts and things. So, as a woman, it could be misconstrued, right? It could be misconstrued because that's what a man do when you're dating them. Hey, queen. That's what men do. They shower you with flowers, cards, gifts, niceties, this and that, trips, dates, whatever they can afford, right? So you don't see that initially as a love. I had never even heard of love bombing until I started research a couple years ago on narcissism. I had never heard of love bombing, but I was most definitely love bombed, right? And what that is every day. And I was working a little mediocre job when I met my ex, struggling with my last child. And what they do is every day for me was a holiday. Every day, especially those first, I can't quite remember. I don't know if it was 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, but it was a good chunk of time, right? That every day was like a holiday. Every day, right? Thank you, Queen. And so, if somebody that's single, you've been struggling, and here comes somebody that brings joy and happiness into your life, okay, all right, I like this, right? Where you want to go eat, don't worry about nothing. I'm going to tell you, it was the first week of meeting him, right? And I was having problems with my car. And so he called somebody on the phone. He was good for calling somebody and getting what I need. I like that. I like somebody with action, right? That got some action with him. And, hey, Kay. And he called his friend and said, hey, what's that mechanic name? Give me the number. Called him. And then he called dude, say, okay, we're going to be over there. So we proceed to go over there with the car. Now, while I'm sitting in the car, I'm like, shit, I ain't got no money. Everything is rapid. Ain't no, we're going to do it next week, next year, next month. Wait till I get paid. It was never, it's like let's handle this right now, right? Or he working on handling it right now. I was enamored by that, right? That's what I like, a real man. And I remember I was sitting in the car and I called my cousin, right? And I said, what I'm supposed to say? What I'm supposed to do? I ain't got no money. What I'm going to say? She said, don't worry about it. He going to take care of it. So when he get back in the car, I don't know if I had a look on my face, hey, Nick, or what. Him just being a man, he said, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. Ooh, whoa, right? So it shocks them about it. You know what I'm saying? And it was like that every day. I had no worries. Who don't want to be in a relationship when you don't have any worries, right? Hey, Denise. So it's like the love bombing. I remember trips, shopping sprees, just whatever I wanted. Just whatever I wanted. If I had told him, look at here, especially as the years went on, if I had told him, hey, Denise, if I had told him I want an elephant, he'd call me like, babe, I'm at the corner with the elephant. I need some help. He was that dude. So who don't want the magical dude, right? And I remember telling this lady, when you go to the people's house, I was a house, I forget what they call that now, home health aide, right? And I would go every day, and she couldn't wait to see me so I could tell her what happened the day before, right? And every day was a holiday. And then he told me, if I'd have known about narcissism, I would have knew he was a narcissist then, early on. He told me, you can quit your job. Shit, what? Quit the job? You what? I've been struggling, working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, hustling, doing all. I can quit. He would say that. He said it more than once. And eventually I did, right? And I didn't work. I didn't work the whole time that I was with him. I hustled, but I didn't work, right? And so that is the love bombing. Every day was a holiday. Everything was wonderful. Everything was perfect. Everything was everything. Now, what you have to be, what I know now is that we never had conversations because he overwhelmed me with stuff and things to do. It was always something to do, right? But again, if you've been single, you've been struggling, and somebody come along, for me, he was like the knight on the horse. What is it called? Knight in shining armor. That's who he was for me. That's what it was for me, right? Now here it says, what are the signs of love bombing? All right, that's what it was for me. So while this may seem like normal behavior for someone who is newly infatuated, love bombing is in fact a manipulation tactic. A manipulation tactic, right? People who love bomb are looking to obtain power and control at the beginning of the relationship. When I read these things about narcissism, and I started doing it since I had my YouTube channel, he was textbook. He was textbook, right? And there is a spectrum with narcissism, just like autism or something. And according to my readings and my understandings, he was on the far end. He was on the far end of the spectrum, if not at the end, right? Let me see where I'm going here. All right, so in this, love bombing is referred to the tactics of excessive flattery and admiration used by members to recruit more people into the group. Now, you know what he would do at the beginning, which he never did as time went on? He would tell me how worthy I was to him. Now, he would never say, "You look good today." Never would say that. But he would tell me what I meant to him. Like, you are different than any woman. You want something out of life. You know, he would give me attributes. He would tell me what the attributes about me that he liked. That's the flattery, right? He did that a lot. Did that a lot. So in your mind, as a woman, if you're not careful, this is why I've been single so long, because I listen to everything somebody says, and I listen to what they don't say. I listen to what they don't say, right? At first, the love bomber showers their partner with gifts, praise, and other gestures that appear flattering on the surface, right? However, these tactics are manipulative, meant to groom their partners, isolate them from friends and family, and secure themselves as the most critical person in their partner's life, right? The goal is to ultimately make their partner emotionally and socially dependent. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I've always been a sociable person, and I always like everybody. I like everybody all the time, right? But what I realized through the years is that I was more consumed with what he was doing and his friends and his family as opposed to mine. And when it came to mine, he didn't interact with my family. He didn't interact with my family. He was a hide by and act like he was the best person in the world, and then he would leave, right? But I loved his family, right? Still do. But he didn't interact. He didn't interact with mine, right? He would always remove himself. If he wasn't going to be the center of attention, he would remove himself. The only time that he did not remove himself from the center of attention was when we would go around his family. And oddly enough, when we were around his family, he would go to sleep. They could be laughing, talking, doing whatever. He would dismiss himself, right? Now, let me go back to the signs. The signs of the love bomber. Where was I at? Okay. A person with NPD, narcissistic tendencies, engage in love bombing to receive praise and admiration. So they want you to think they are the greatest thing on earth. And believe me, I did think that. Initially, I did think that. Because who comes in with a woman, she has a child, my son was still in, he was still in junior high, I think at the time, right? And do all the things. When I say do all the things, he did all the things. He dressed my son the way I would dress my son, but I didn't have the money to, right? There was never, oh my God, we ain't got this. Because to me, I thought he was magical at first. Let's say we having a conversation about something that I need or want or whatever. The next day I would have it. Not without me asking, like, there was no asking. I would be just talking about stuff, right? And the next day I would have it. And it happened like that all the years, right? Reason why I stayed so long. Reason why I endured a lot of emotional and mental anguish, because I didn't have to struggle. And narcissists pick people. Let me say this is what I said yesterday. You do all the talking, they do all the listening. They do all the listening so they'll know how to act for you, because they're actors, right? They'll know how to act for you. So they'll listen. You can talk, 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 talk. They can't have a conversation back and forth, but they will listen. So they're attentive initially. They're attentive. So you think this is a good dude. If you're a woman, you think this is a good dude. He listen to me. We go places. We do things. It's all a setup for you. See how you can fit into what he is doing, right? Or she, but mostly narcissists are men, right? Now, they said, why is love bombing a major red flag? Narcissists can be very charming, likable, and exciting. He was all those things. All those things, right? The manipulation can happen slowly, and the control may go unnoticed at first. And that is true. And it's not like, go sit down over there, go do this, you can't go nowhere. It ain't that kind of control. It's subtle suggestions. It's subtle suggestions. It's a mind fuck. My ex mind fucked the shit out of me. And I did not realize it at first. When I look back on it, yeah. And I guess you all would say, well, Jackie, you so strong. You so this, you so that, you so that. I am. But it happened subtly, and I didn't see it, right? And I've been wanting to talk about narcissism because it's been on my heart, because it's rampant, right? And because these men, speaking of men, because that's all I date is men. These men go from one relationship to the next, destroying women's souls, right? And a lot of women never recover from that. I, thank God, recovered. Now, it took me 3 or 4 years to heal, because it's just like a death when you end the relationship. There's 7 stages or whatever it is. You angry, denial, grief, all that stuff. I went through all of that, right? And then there was a period of time I went through, should I be back with him? Or if I wouldn't have to struggle so hard if I was with him. You know what I'm saying? Or I felt sorry for him. It's a lot of emotions you go through, right? It's a lot of emotions you go through. And so if you're not strong, and I remember telling him, a lesser woman, you would break her down, because that's their goal, to break you so they can do what they want with you, right? It's just that I wasn't built up like that. But it caused me a lot of anguish and a lot of grief through the years, though. Because you think if you're a loving person, you in this for love, you in this for the right thing, and then you find out that they are not, or they're incapable of it. Because I realized that my ex was incapable. When we would have conversations, that's why I wish my video didn't delete. But because I'm speaking from my heart, and I spoke from my heart yesterday. But I'm gonna try to recap. When I would try to have conversations with him, this might have been year 2 or 3. Try to have meaningful conversations with him, trying to understand him. I could see the discomfort. His face would tort up and twist up, his body. And like I said yesterday, and like it's been noted in a lot of scientific studies and psychologists' writings, they're demonic. They're demonic, right? And as I talk about this, you'll see that, right? But I knew it after some years, because if love doesn't catch you, and you don't appreciate the love, you can't receive the love, then you're evil, right? And I would literally see, and I'm going to say this because that's what it is, I would see the demon moving in him, right? I could see the uncomfortability, right? A lot of times it's in the eyes, but for him, his face would tort up. He would just twist up, right? He was very uncomfortable with being directly talked to meaningfully. He could not handle that, right? And I'm going to tell the story that I told yesterday. Another reason why I say that I knew this about him, just didn't know he was a narcissist, because that's a new term for me. But I was at church one day, and it was a hot summer day, and I at this time I had a caddy with dark windows, right? So it's going to be super, super hot up in there, right? And I was at church, nice, cool, crispy air, right? Now, when I went outside, he had been sitting in my car for an hour, right? He could have sat in the vestibule. He could have came inside the sanctuary. He sat in my car in the heat, in the sun, no shade, with the windows up for an hour. I knew right then, I said, this nigga is the devil. Only the devil can stay in that kind of heat, right? He sat there in that. Now, this charm usually goes away. This is the key point. After the initial stage of the relationship, right? And is replaced by belittling and emotional abuse. Let me tell y'all something. Remember I told y'all he told me to quit my job. After I had quit my job, and I can't remember how long it had been that I had been quit, if it had been a year or two, I don't remember what it was. He told me, you need to go to work. You need to go to work, but you told me to quit. Right? He would do things and then later on say the opposite. That was so, when I tell you he was mind fucking me, that was so but you told me, right? The belittling, he didn't particularly belittle me, but he wouldn't acknowledge me. He wouldn't say, like I said, he wouldn't say, ooh, babe, you look good today. Ooh, come here, girl, what you got on? He would never, ever say that. He would say, I see you. If he said anything, he would say, I see you. You know, he would never, ever say something of admiration about what I was looking like. Never did that, right? It is essential to recognize love bombing not as a sign of affection, but as the first step in creating a toxic and controlling relationship. And when I tell y'all that being with a narcissist is very, very toxic, because you don't never. So what they do, they come in and blow your mind and overwhelm you. You can't even think straight. You don't even know that you're being played with, because it's every day it's something. Doing this, giving you that, doing this, giving you that, giving your kids, you know, they're doing something. Listen, in that first year of me being with him, he helped me buy a house. And he'd have bought numerous of things by then, probably bought me a car or whatever, but he helped me buy my house, right? He helped me buy my house. Now, by the grace of God, only God, when it was time to sign the papers for the house, he wouldn't answer the phone and come sign the papers. Now, that was good. That ended up good on my behalf down the line. But initially, when it was time to sign the papers, he would not answer his phone and come and sign the papers. He would do stuff like that. He would totally ignore me. Totally ignore me. That was his thing. He would do that, right? And thank God that he did, because when I sold my house, I didn't have to share it with him. Or I didn't have to go through him or nothing like that. See, God be knowing that what we don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I was very upset, because I thought this was the man that I was going to marry. It's going to be my husband. We're going to be together forever, right? And so it were a lot of signs from the beginning, red flags, that I ignored. And I ignored them because, thinking like a woman, he gonna change. If I love on him enough, if I do this enough, he gonna change. Because that's what you think. That's what you want to think as a human. They are incapable of love. They have no empathy. They have no empathy. None. Right? I wish I could. So they're supposed to be getting me that. Now, I'm gonna go back and repeat what the signs of narcissist is. But empathy is one of them. They don't have any empathy. None at all. None at all. Now, in my case, we could have had a knockdown, drag out, or he done hurt my feelings so bad about whatever he done said or did. And I remember there were times I would cry, right? And there's no comfort. He's not going, oh, baby, I'm sorry. When I would cry, it would make his dick hard. He would want to have sex with me. That's how disturbed and sick and psychotic narcissists are. Empathy he didn't have. He didn't have. I watched as one of his closest friends, I want to say it was two, but a man that was like a mentor to him pass away. I didn't go to the funeral, but I watched closely as I gave him the news that he was not doing well, and then I watched, because one of my girlfriends, that was her father-in-law, and then I watched as, you know, when he passed, I waited to see an emotion. Was he going to tear up or anything? I never saw that. Never saw that, right? They don't have emotions, not like that. They're not. There's no crying. There's no sadness. You'll see anger before you see anything else, right? Um, Hold on. As the relationship continues, the person becomes manipulative in other ways, such as by being distant and cold, which he was. Love bombing can ultimately lead to other forms of emotional abuse, such as gaslighting. We're going to talk about gaslighting tomorrow. A manipulation tactic that causes a person to doubt their reality. Just like I told you, he would tell me something. He said, "You quit your job," and said it several times. And I was like, "Shit, I'm gonna quit it." It was a mediocre job. You know, still was two incomes because I'm doing what I'm doing. He doing what he doing. Okay, cool. I'm gonna quit the job, right? What he wanted, and it took me a few years to realize, he wanted to be able to manipulate all of my time. So if I'm working, I don't have time to do what he want me to do. He wanted all of my time. And the only thing that he could not stop my time with was going to church. But he tried. He tried, right? Not on Sundays, but like when I would do stuff during the week, like Bible studies on Wednesdays. He would always call me before Bible study time and say, "Let's do this. Come do this. We got to do this." And that went on for a long time. He would block that. So that's why that day that I was at church and he was sitting in the car, he probably was in there fuming. He was in there fuming. He was on fire, right? Because he wasn't able to block what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Signs that you are being love bombed. There are 8 tactics a love bomber may use. They shower you with gifts, lavish with gifts. Like I remember the first time, I didn't even know him that well, and he gave me some money and said, go shopping. Me and my sister going shopping. He said, "Well, hold it, wait a minute," and reached in there and gave me some money, right? And then while I was out shopping, I think I was getting a winter coat. He told me to get a coat and whatever, right? And he was the type, whatever he bought, he wants you to have all of it, right? So I was getting the coat, and I remember he called me and said, "I got the money here, but if you got some extra money, get you the hat and he's telling me all the other stuff to get, and then he would give me the money when I got home." It was always over the top with him. It was always over the top. So what woman ain't gonna fall in love with that? Who's not gonna fall in love with that, right? I ain't got to worry about nothing. My man got it. We got extras. I wasn't used to extras. Hadn't had extras in a while since I was doing illegal stuff. I was no longer doing illegal stuff. Let me put it like that. I didn't have no extras, right? You pay the bills and barely make it. I remember when I met him. Let me tell y'all something. When I met him, I was probably at one of my lowest points because I had been suffering from when I went to the penitentiary, right? So you're a felon now. It's hard to get the kind of jobs that you deserve and that you qualify for. So you got to work a medial job. That's why I was doing home health aid, right? So anyway, somebody comes along and showers you, and you don't have worries, and you can go and do whatever you want to do. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't want that? Now, the second sign is they can't stop giving compliments. In the beginning, like he never said you look good, but he would give me compliments regarding my character all the time. All of the time, right? They tell you what you want to hear. This is why I said they listen. They don't really converse back and forth. They listen so that they can morph into the person that you've been telling them you want. That's what they do, right? They're big on showing. Now, they say they're big on showing affection. Mine doesn't show affection like that. He would. Now, let me tell you what he would do. I guess he did show affection. So if we're out amongst people, he would act like I was the greatest thing on earth. I remember the first year I was with him. Every time we got around his friends, he would say, "Y'all know my woman Jackie? This is Jackie. Y'all know her?" He'd be like, "Man, we know her." He would do that. For the first year, he did that all the time. It was making me sick, right? But in the house, it would be something totally different, right? After a while. They want your undivided attention. And that is the main thing, attention. They want you, because narcissists need a supply. And you are the supply, right? Until they find another one. And they need your attention at all times, right? They need your attention at all times because they need to be able to manipulate and control you. And when I tell you manipulation and control, it ain't, like I said, it's not like go sit down, you can't go here. It's not like that. It's subtle that you don't even notice it, right? Like I said, he cleared my day up. So when he make a call me like, oh, I'm gonna need you to go do this, or I'm gonna need you to go do that, and you thinking this is my man, this is my partner, I'm gonna go do that. But after a while, it becomes all the time, all the time. That's so much so that towards the end of the relationship, I was nervous, like a white housewife, right? Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do without him? What am I gonna do, right? I'm telling y'all, I know y'all think I'm strong, and I was, but at this particular time in my life, I was like, what am I gonna do? What? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Because I have so much living in his shoes and his shadow. I forgot how to live for myself, right? And I'm a sociable butterfly, but I forgot how to do that, right? And it took the strength of my daughter repeatedly telling me, you had a life before him, you have one after. You made it before him, you make one after, right? But I was like lost. I was like lost, believe that or not, right? Um, they expect you to respond to texts or calls immediately. Immediately, right? Expect you to prioritize spending time with them to the detriment of your time and relationships with friends or family. You want all of your time, right? And as a woman, again, you like, yeah, that's my baby. I'm with my baby, right? They get angry, irritated, or stonewall you when you want to spend time with others. Only time that they're not going to get angry with you when you want to spend time with others when they get ready to go do some bullshit, right? Then they don't. Now my ex was a gambler, so he had a habit. He was habitual. So when he gambling, he didn't require my time. He didn't require my time when he was gambling. Want you to distance yourself from your friends and family or isolate yourself from others. And y'all know what? I was isolated, but it wasn't like I was isolated and couldn't go nowhere. I didn't want to go anywhere, but I was isolated, right? I had my house, especially when I got my house. I got my house. I'm decorating my house. I'm doing for my house. I'm inside my house. I'm happy as could be. I'm in my house. And when I think back on it now, like, I should have been right. I don't think it was time because he would tell me to write, right? But the story wasn't finished. But he would tell me to write. Like, he'd be like, write it down, write your feelings down. He would say that, right? Because he's a writer, he's a poet. But I wonder now, like, I had 10 years of I ain't got to worry about shit. Why didn't I do something? And I've come to the conclusion, like, I did have my little business. I did have my little purse business. But I'm saying, why didn't I grow that? You know, I was cool the way it was. I didn't use social media. Like, why didn't I? Not at first. Why didn't I? Why didn't I do something to elevate myself? I was cool right where I was, right? And that boggles my mind still today because I had 10 years of I didn't have to work. Why didn't I do something? Why didn't I? Right? That's because he was always in my head, always in my ear, and he made it comfortable for me to not do nothing. I needed to be available to him. And when I was not available to him, or let's say I don't feel like it, then that would be a problem. That would be a big problem. Now, he wasn't physical or nothing like that, but that would be a big problem, and it would be an ongoing conversation, an ongoing argument. He liked to argue. It became so tumultuous that I had to, years later, I would just not talk to him at all. We just don't talk. We don't talk. Because if I don't talk to him, we can't argue. So I would just ignore him. And that would drive him bananas. And once I realized that I could do that, now I'm a man, fuck you. But that's down the road, I'll tell you about that. But I remember my mother telling me one time I was crying. I went to her job. I was crying. And she said, you done gave him too much of your power. Now, at that moment, I did not understand that. Because that wasn't what I wanted to hear from her at that time. But I got it eventually, right? Now, this here says request that you end friendships. He never said that to me, probably because he knew I was too strong for that. So, and he was older, so that didn't. I could see a younger narcissist saying that, but he never said that to me. Now, this is the tricky part. They call and text frequently, which he did initially. So, and I remember in my head, I was very conscious of I'm not going to be a bugaboo. I'm not going to call him all the time, but I never had to because he would call me all the time, right? Then it stops. Right? And once it stops and you try to call them and do all that, now I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just want to tell y'all this. Once it stops and you try calling them and calling, then they acting like you get on your nerves. But this is the pattern that you set up. I'll never forget that when he first started doing that to me, and it might have been in the first year, maybe the second year, that he wouldn't answer the phone. And I was like, this is the pattern you set up. Because I had already came into this. I came into this knowing I am not going to be a bugaboo. I'm going to let you live your life. I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to be a bugaboo, right? But if you call me all the time, I'm going to call you all the time. It was cool. It was cool, right? I think we in love. And then when he reversed it on me, it was mind-boggling. Because, again, this is the pattern that you set up. I'm following your lead, sir. Now it says, being frequently in touch with your partner is natural in a new relationship, but feeling overwhelmed by communication is not. And I was overwhelmed, but I liked it, though. I liked it, right? Now it says here, they get upset when you put up boundaries. And that's what he did. And that's where I went wrong at, because I didn't put up boundaries, right? And I just let him be. And then he got worse and worse at whatever he was doing, right? He would be out all night. Again, he would say, oh, I was gambling, which eventually turned into cheating, right? So at first I didn't pay no attention because you gambling, they be out for hours, and my girlfriend was one of, I didn't think nothing of it. But it eventually turned into cheating. Whereas I should have set up boundaries like, in this house, I need to see you by such time. I never did that. And it went on and got worse. Again, he was paying bills. He was doing what he was supposed to do. So I was like, I ain't gonna bother initially, right? It says, so as far as the love bombing, now, it says, listen to what your gut is telling you. If you are feeling overwhelmed or uncomfortable, these are valid feelings that deserve investigating. It was a long time before I felt something was off with him, right? It was a long time because, again, like I said, he overshadowed that with all the things that he would do. All the things that he would do was overshadowing the little shit that he did that irked me, which was just a irk at the time. Just a irk. You're going to overlook that because it's just a irk. I could go where I want to go, do what I want to do. So it was just a little irk. And again, I'm thinking this is the person I'm going to be with the rest of my life. So it's going to mellow out at some point, right? It's going to mellow out. He going to change, which is what women do. But that is the wrong move to think somebody's going to change. They have to be already changed when they get to you, or they have to want to change. Because if you allow them to act like that, they're going to continue to act like that. And it's only going to escalate and get worse, which it did, right? It did. And when I think back on the shit that I allowed him to do, when we broke up, I was like, oh, well, it was his fault because he cheated. No, it was my fault too because I allowed a lot of shit to go on to give him the leeway to cheat. I allowed a lot of shit to go on for the sake of, well, he doing this and he doing that and he doing this. And that is because he'd already had control of my mind. And, the reason why it took me so long to speak on this, because I've been wanting to speak on it, is because I have to tell my truth, right? And so it's going to make me look in a different light, right? But I'm human. And I was not ready to express how vulnerable I was with him, right? As I had never been that way with anyone, right? So I wasn't ready to tell the world that I was with a narcissist and he had mind-fucked me, right? For several years. I wasn't ready to tell the world that. And while I was going through this, nobody knew. Nobody knew. He put up a good front around people, and so did I. It was in the house. And see, my kids are grown, and then eventually my youngest son went off to college. So just me and him in there like two gorillas, right? Eventually. But nobody knew until the end, last couple of years. Nobody knew. I didn't discuss it with anybody because I just didn't know what it was. After a while, it's like something's wrong with him, but I did not know that he really had something wrong with him. You know what I'm saying? I just thought I knew he was crazy. And then I said, well, he's a demon because only the devil, some of the shit he did, only the devil do, right? It eventually got to a point where and I'll talk about that much more detail, that I slept with the Bible in my bed. I slept with the Bible in my bed, right? Because he always wanted to be in chaos. He always wanted to be in chaos. He was very, very toxic, and he was not satisfied. Let me tell you something. We went out and had a good time. Well, I was having a good time. Maybe he wasn't. And before the night was up, by the time we got home, it didn't turn into a bad time. He would see to that. It took me a couple of years to realize that, though. It took me a minute to realize that. He would, and you know, towards years 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't know what the years was, we stopped doing things together. But I liked his friends, I liked his family, so it's going to be a good time. And I noticed that if I'm somewhere and I'm getting the attention, he didn't like that, right? So that's when he'll fuck it up. You know, he would mess it up. I remember one day I was at his sister's house having a good time. I loved his sisters, right? Because sometimes people's families can be a mess, but I loved his sisters, right? And he had two nieces that were my age, right? Because remember I told you he had 12 siblings, and their mother was one of the oldest, right? So these sisters was like my age, and I was having a good time with his sisters. We just laughing and talking over there, laughing and talking. And I looked over there, and he was sitting over there fuming, right? I could see smoke coming up out his head, right? But I'm enjoying his sisters. We having a good time. I love them ladies, right? And he made a big deal out of something and wanted to go. And I forgot exactly what he did, but it was hurtful. And I started crying, right? And I don't be crying in front of people, but I had started crying because he had hurt my feelings so, right? And his family didn't say anything. See, his family had knew that he was a monster, right? But they thought he was changed. And I remember feeling horrible. Again, he never put his hands on me, but the shit he would say would be horrible, right? Now this is from the person, and then the next day he would say, here go, I'm gonna say $100 and go do the, it was always a cycle. It was always good, then bad, then good, then bad, right? That's what it was all the time, right? It would be it was a cycle. You know what I'm saying? That's no other way I can put it. And then another part of the cycle is in the love bombing is we're going to bomb you and give you all this stuff and do all these things. Then I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to ignore you. Black out, right? I'm going to ignore you. Then I'm going to come back. So you stay confused, right? You stay confused. And he may even go as to, the narcissist will, he gonna love bomb the people around you that mean a lot to you too, because he want to appear. He wants to appear to be the greatest to them. Because I know my family loved him. They loved him. That's because they didn't spend long periods of time with him. They loved him, right? He definitely had a evil side, right? And only the people that known him for years would see it. You wouldn't see it, right? But he had definitely a dark side, right? And then you'd be so confused because he was so giving. I saw him give his shirt off his back to somebody, a stranger. The man didn't have a shirt. He took his shirt off, gave it to him, right? He was very giving. The people outside begging, strangers, everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you think there's some goodness down in there. If I could only get to it, right? You never get to it. You never get to it. You never get to it. They're going to remain that way. They won't ever apologize. Like I said, they have no empathy. So they're cold inside. They're black, right? They're black. They have no empathy. There's no empathy. There's no empathy for someone that is narcissistic. Now, these are the symptoms of a narcissist. Sense of self-importance, the preoccupation with power and success. Entitled, very entitled, right? Can only be around people who are important or special. And if they're not, they want to be they want to be the most important one, right? Arrogant, they lack empathy and must be admired. They want to walk in the room and somebody say, "Ooh, look at that. Boy, where you going? What you got?" They wanted him. And he was a very well-dressed man. He spent a lot of money on his shoes and clothes, but he wanted everybody to know that, right? And when he went in circles of people that were bigger than him or more than him, he always wanted to be with them. Like say we out, man and woman, we out, we together, right? He always would dismiss me to take pictures, go over there, do this with them people. He wanted to be part of so bad. And I think it was because growing up, because they say it's environmental factors, right? And I think for him, because he was the middle child of so many, and he had a tragic incident when he was a young teen. Um, like I said yesterday, I don't know if I said it or not, but I'll repeat it. The reason why I think he became the catalyst to him being a narcissist was, because, like I said, they said environmental factors, was he had a girlfriend, teenage girlfriend, right? He loved her. Probably the first girl he loved or some shit like that, right? And he went away. I can't remember if he went away to bad boy school or to the actual penitentiary, but he went away. And his best friend and his girlfriend that he loved got together and had a baby. He never told me that. When his sisters told me that, he never told me that, right? And I think that was the catalyst to him, or it helped for him to become the narcissist, right? Now, at his big age, he was older than me. At his big age, he was 50, in his 50s. It was something, and I was in my 40s, right? And he had never took a woman around his family, ever, in life. Except that one girl when he was a teenager. He had never took a woman, ever. Ever. And I think that he was going to try to do to me what he did to them, but he couldn't let go of me. So he started, he had animosity towards me. That he resented the fact that he liked me. That's what I truly believe. I've always felt that. He resented the fact that he liked me, right? So at his big age, and I remember when we first got together, we went to a play. Our first date or second date was a play, Christmas time. And he saw somebody he knew, and he said, yeah, whoever they was having a fish fry or something. So I'm thinking, I'm going to the fish fry, right? And he told me, and I don't forget how he said it, but I know that he meant it, and I understood what he meant. He said he don't take women around his family, or something to that effect, right? He don't take women around his family, something like that. But it was a little more harsher, and that was on our second date. So I was like, oh, okay, okay, all right, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot of things from the beginning I should have left him alone, but I was so curious and interested and didn't want to be struggled no more that I stayed with him. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, I thought he would change. Somebody that's giving you all these things and you ain't never got to worry about nothing. I never had to hawk him down like, Gas will do. It was like how much he would come to me. This is another thing. He would come to me and say, okay, what we got to have this week? And I'd say this, and that. So, okay, give me till Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, whatever. And then I never had to ask him. Give it to me, right? So who don't want that? After you've been struggling for years and years and years, and it's going to be in my book. My third book will include, it's going to all be all about him in those 10 years, right? But I had a devastating incident happen to me and a devastating fall. And it took me quite a few years to get myself together, but he was a part of me getting together, right? So somebody like that enter your life, you don't want to let that shit go, right? Because I had a devastating fall, and I'll tell y'all about that later, but I had a devastation to the nation, right? So here come the night, he coming fast on the armor, right? And I remember the very first day, and my son was with me, and he said, he was well dressed, he went in somewhere, in the barbershop somewhere, and my son said, nah, man, you ain't gonna have him, because my son thought he was there. I said, yes, I am. I'm gonna get that nigga, right? He's like, nah, man, he's too much for you, right? And then I was with him, you know what I'm saying? So I think that he wanted to play with me, but it turned into something else. Then it turned into animosity, because the narcissist that he is, he use you, you feed him, and then he's done, right? And it didn't happen like that with me. So he resented me and had some animosity towards me, right? Do I think he ever loved me? I don't think so. I think he liked me. I think he loved me much as he could. as he was capable of. I don't think he ever loved me. No, I don't think he ever loved me. Even though up until even while I was up until last year, it was anything I wanted, I could call him and get it, right? But I could only take him in small doses because he's gonna say something or do something that's gonna irritate the shit out of me. Now I have control, and I'll tell y'all later on how I got control, but I did regain my control. But a narcissist is, and probably because I was older and wiser and stronger, because a weaker woman. I know somebody that dealt with a narcissist and they damn near lost their mind, right? And they're young, and they have damn near lost their mind because it's a big mind fuck. It's a big mind fuck. The love bombing is what throws you off, right? Because how can you be this nice to me and this wonderful me, and then you don't want me, and you talking to me crazy? How could you? That shit don't even mix, right? And so it's quite confusing. And me being the person I am, I'm like, shit, I ain't getting ready to struggle no more. Fuck this nigga, right? I'm going to just, that's what it led to eventually. Like, shit, fuck him. You do you and I'm going to do me. Right? But that was years later. And I think that a lot of women are in narcissistic relationships and don't know. Because when I first heard about it, I was still with my ex, and my girlfriend told me about her ex that was a narcissist, guy she was with. I think that they were still together at the time. And I was like, girl, ain't nobody no narcissist. I didn't really quite know what a narcissist was, but I thought it was a bad thing, and ain't nobody no narcissist around here, right? And the more she talked to me about it, especially now when I think back on it, he was exactly what he was, right? So I think it's a lot of that going on. And women don't know. And I quite frankly don't even know if these men know they got a problem. I don't even think these men know that they have a problem. I believe, like, my ex was intelligent. He was intelligent, which is deadly, right? Like tonight we're gonna talk about little Martell, right? I think he might be a narcissist, but he's dumb. He don't know how to use his mind, right? But if they're intelligent, it's dangerous, right? Because they will watch you. They watch you. They're calculating. They know how to play you. They know how to maneuver you without putting their hands on you or being too, pushy. They know how to say and do what they need you to say. And my ex, quite frankly, he bought me. That's what made me, when I remember there was a time, I don't know what year we was in, 3 or 4. It was early on. Year 3 or 4. Matter of fact, it might have been 3. And I was done with him, right? And I had some furniture in the layaway. This was year 3. Might have been 2, because I had some furniture in the layaway from a new house, right? Whole house full of shit, right, in the layaway. And he said he would always call me, and I would ignore him. I was done. I would ignore him. And I remember one time I went in my prayer room. I had a prayer room in my house and prayed and asked God, because I was in love with him at the time. I think that I was in love. I'm not quite sure if I was ever in love with him, but I was in heavy like or something, right? And I prayed and I asked God if it's meant to be, because he kept calling me. He would just keep calling me and calling me and calling me and calling me. And I don't know if we had blocked in. I ain't sure. He kept calling, because I would have blocked. I don't think we had blocked then. He kept calling me and calling me and calling me, right? And I said, God, I was praying, if you want me to be with him, give me a sign. Now listen to this, y'all. I said, give me a sign. Before I can finish praying good, before I could say amen, the nigga was knocking at my door. Now this particular time, my son just happened to be there, and he knew I didn't want to be bothered with him. So my son raced down to the steps, tell the nigga go hit on or whatever he was going to say. And I said, no, that's okay, because I had just asked God to give me the sign. So I'm thinking God then gave me the sign. That's another reason why I stayed with him a long time, right? It wasn't until years later towards the end where I was telling my guy friend, that I thought God had sent this man to me, because he was everything I wanted financially, right? And he said, the devil will give you what you want too. That's when it all starts sticking, twirling around in my head. Like, shit, what? So that day when I prayed and said, God sent me a sign, the devil interceded. it made me think that the guy that sent this nigga to my door. And so we started up again. And he, when he came in, he said he wanted to be with me and so on and so forth. He said, I'll get all the furniture out. You know, I buy all of this and give you this. I'm gonna do every damn thing. And he did, right? So this is the reason why I stayed so long, amongst other reasons. Like, shit, God sent him. He's gonna do what he doing, what he said he was gonna do. But we never had that mental connection. Never had that. Never had that. It was all, he bought me. He bought me, right? And when we had broke up, I think I was in Charlotte, the first time I was in Charlotte, and he said he would never leave with his pockets again. That's what he said to me. So he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing, you know. He was buying me. He was buying my cooperation for his manipulation. Yeah, he was buying my cooperation for his manipulation. So you got to beware, and tomorrow maybe I'll talk about it. You got to be aware of the love bombing to know if this person is sincere or he's really cherishing you with gifts like this. Like, it's hard to tell. How do you tell? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. But that love bombing is a real thing. I've seen it happen to somebody very, very close to me that I told you cannot shake. They're evil and mad with everybody. This person love bombed them, right? Love bombed them. You know, they do grandiose things. Because my ex was very grandiose in his thoughts and in his actions. Very grandiose, right? And so you have to be careful of that. And that's one reason why I'm talking about it, because awareness has to be made. Do I think all men are narcissists? No, I don't. But I think a good portion of them are. And because it's as women, we're trained to be one way, docile, let the man provide. We're trained for that shit, right? Men, on the other hand, are taught to be hard, don't cry, don't do this. So they ain't got, they ain't showing no emotions, because we taught them that. We taught them that, right? So then you get in a relationship and think a motherfucker gonna show you some emotions. How? When they just suppressed all the emotions they had, right? So, I'm going to keep talking about this, y'all. At noon, and relationships and dating. You got some comments, you got some ideas, you got some stories to tell. Share with us. Feel free, because this is going to be my thing for a while. Even when I finish with the narcissism, we're going to talk about dating and relationships as it pertains to black culture. We different than them. As it pertains to black culture. That's what I will be discussing. Now, 8 o'clock, we're going to get super messy. Tonight, I'm going to give my total review on the Martell. What's her name? Martell and Tasha K. Can't think of her name. Martell and Tasha K interview, which was quite interesting. It wasn't the explosion that she said it was going to be, but it was interesting. And I have my thoughts. Queen said, I just like a fraudulent person, a wolf in sheep clothing. Yeah, narcissists. That's what they are. That's exactly what they are. You love to switch up, nephew? I thank you. I appreciate that coming from you. I appreciate that. But I didn't want to talk about, I sat up all night the night before. I didn't want to talk about what I talk about at 8, because to me it was repetitive. Even though I know a lot of bloggers do that, I'm just different. I'm cut different, and I had to, could only be me. I don't know how to be no other motherfucker but me, right? So I said, thank you, T. I said, I'm going to do, it was on my mind because T gave me the idea, and then I took the idea and did something else with it, right? Love the live, Jackie. I was listening to, but have to get back. I understand. See you guys tonight. You learned something? Yeah. Yes, I can't wait to discuss it either, because I can't wait. Because I got thoughts. Y'all gonna be surprised at the thoughts now. I got thoughts, right? I got thoughts. Thank you, Kay. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you so much. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all don't know I love y'all to death. I swear to God. Yeah, I love y'all. But I appreciate y'all, because this was hard for me to. I'm so upset. Now, they say I got to fill out this email and all this. They can get the video back, but I might do it, I might not, because it's a whole bunch of bullshit you got to do. But I was a little nervous about it, because I have to tell my story, and I'm going to appear to be weak, right? But I'm just a woman. I'm just a human, and I went through this shit, right? And I went through and came out on the other side not knowing what I was going through, right? So, okay. Did you see the video of Mel trying to? No, I didn't see the videos. Y'all got Tasha K live? How did y'all see the videos? I don't have Tasha K live. Okay, send if you got that case, send it to me or T anybody that saw because I don't see when I watched her YouTube they bleeped it out when they showed that they bleeped it out, right? But I got a lot to say, y'all. I got a lot to say about that, and I got my thoughts. And I had heard that T. You're strong, stronger than you thought. Thank you, Kay. I haven't because it's on the Tasha K Live, T. That's why we ain't seen it. Kay must have Tasha K Live. But thank you, Kay. Go send it on IG. Okay, cool. Because he got the receipts, right? Now I'm gonna tell you something right now before we go. I appreciate the fact that he didn't burn down Love and Marriage Huntsville, even though Tasha tried to make him. Even though Tasha tried to make him, he did not burn down Love and Marriage Huntsville, and that's what I thought he was going to do. He did not do that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, nephew. Yeah, he did not do that. So we gonna talk about that. Might take the whole hour up because I got my agenda, but that might have to wait till tomorrow. So now I'm gonna talk about that. I might go a little long today, y'all, because tomorrow's members. And then Saturday, Sunday, I don't go live. So we might go a little long tonight, y'all. So get y'all snacks and zooms and whatever, because we got to talk about Martell. And then I got to talk about some other stuff, too. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in to Jackie with a motherfucking Q. And I'm going to see y'all